In the previous classes, we dealt with 2-point perspective. We did a little 1-point perspective. We've done some organic lines and looking in atmospheric perspective as well. Last class, I introduced you to cylinders and how to place cylinders on a tabletop, how to think of them in terms of eye level and the oval, and how to draw the oval on the top and bottom, and how that sits together and is structured. I also shared with you some of the common mistakes artists often have, whether they pinch the ends of the oval at the ends and it comes to a tip, or where the rim is equally around, if there is a rim on the top edge, or at the bottom with the differences between the oval at the top of a container to that on the bottom. Often it gets cut off and made straight instead of exaggerating even further towards a circle. Now today we're going to do a little bit more complex a little bit more complex drawing. We're going to do a 5-cylinder, or at least 5 cylinders in one box. You can do 6 cylinders, 7 cylinders, or even multiple boxes. And we're going to draw that on top of a tabletop. And you're going to arrange it according to your setting, the types of objects that you have. I recommend you to find cups, saucers, plates, different kinds of containers, and think about, and also towel racks or even toilet paper spools. Think about the different sizes, different heights that these things are on. You got vases that you can use. Some can be thin, some can be thick and bowled out. But think about how you can organize and arrange it. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to give you, I think, 4 or 5 examples of different types of still lifes. These are called still lives in that they are subjects that are actually still. They don't move, so they're traditionally been called still lifes. You can call it a setup or an arrangement. And you're going to have to do this yourself. But right now, I'm going to give you a demonstration, a drawing, and how I start or initiate one of these types of drawings based on my still life. So go ahead and follow me into the next segment, and I will show you. Have a good day. Right now I'm going to demonstrate doing a drawing of the first still life in your slide presentation for the 5 cylinders and a box. But it's going to end up looking like very similar to this drawing that I did earlier, a very quick sketch. This is not a very involved yet, and I want your work to go even further, but this will help you understand how to lay it out. What I did first, and I'm going to draw it, is the first thing I did is the back end of the table. I drew that. In this case, I've made it simple for myself because it is parallel to the bottom edge and the top edge of the paper. Now the back edge of the tabletop is not the horizon line, and it is not the eye level. You know that because you can see into the cylinders that are above the tabletop. And so that means your eye level is somewhere up here, above the highest peak. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and start and see where we go with this. So the first thing is, I'm going to try to see where I am. First thing is, I'm going to draw the back of the tabletop. I'm going to draw it right about here. I'm going to draw fairly light. And then from there, let me see if I can move my screen around here like this. See if I can get both the image and, alright. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the tallest item, and the one that's in the biggest in the middle. And that's going to be that vase in the background, or in the middle ground actually. So I'm going to do a vertical down the middle to kind of figure that out. You recognize that it almost goes to the top of my page. And I'm just going to kind of put in a oval at the top. I might have to adjust them, just something to start with. And then an oval at the mid-ground where it is. Start to and try to figure out where that depth is. I'm going to try to come right out to here Actually, I'm going to make it even bigger. So I'm going to make some more adjustments here. So I'm going to make this around. I'm going to keep making adjustments. Everything is just a start, a way to just kind of start. Nothing is finished, and everything is about relationships. Relationship of one object to another. So the next thing I'm going to go is to the next biggest item, and that's the box that's sitting to the left of the vase. And it starts basically right about here and it goes straight up. One of the things I do recognize is that it is about halfway up. The tabletop, the top back end of the tabletop goes almost halfway from the base to the top of the box. Next thing is we know that the horizon line is somewhere up here. This may not be exact. It might be actually higher and off my page, but I'm going to put it right there for now and start with some points. So I'm going to start with the bottom of that box going somewhere like this off the page, and then so it's going to off my page somewhere out here is the horizon line, and so this is going to meet that spot off the page somewhere over there. And then there's the second point. I got the other vertical, and the other point, it goes this way to the other horizon line. So these two converge somewhere off the page there. Now the back end also goes in the same direction and meets the other point somewhere close to there. I'm kind of somewhat there. I may not be exact. I certainly am not exact. But I'm just kind of playing it by ear, just kind of laying things out. I know I'm going to be probably changing most every line that I make, but it gives me something to work from. The next thing I recognize is the bowl that sits on top of the table. I might want to bring that even thinner. That sits almost to the front in the middle, not quite, and it covers this corner. So I'm going to go right here, and the oval is right above, maybe somewhere around there. Let's see, halfway, maybe right here and right here. So I'm somewhere like that I have. And then the cube that sits in front of the box kind of comes right to this point here. It's kind of halfway between the vase and the end of the box, somewhere probably right about there. Oops, and it kind of comes right to the edge, up and down, straight up and down. I almost went at an angle. Kind of goes back this way and towards the corner, and then it too has a vanishing point, and so I want it to on the same horizon line. It might have a different vanishing point, but it goes to that same horizon line. And same with this direction. So let me try to get those verticals, try to make sure it's a cube, get it to go to the same vanishing point that all the others are going. So I have something of a structure to start with, and again I'm going to have to play it by ear. You see I've got a lot of guidelines over here. Eventually I'm going to erase many of those. Next thing I'm going to do is draw the cylinder, the paper towel cylinder. It sits between here and over front. That's probably one of the more difficult objects to draw, and it kind of comes to the point right here, so right here and almost to the edge there. This is going to be hard to deal with the oval right at this point. I don't know how I'm going to get it right now at first, but I'm going to put something there, just something to start with, and try to work with that. And it kind of ends, it should be a little bit further down. It probably should come down to here. So I'm going to erase that, and it comes further down than the base of the vase. So I'm going to erase that. Put it right somewhere around there. Again, I'm going to have to work that quite a bit. The next thing I have to work with, another overlap, and that's how I'm measuring where overlaps relative to other objects. This relative to that, where that sits. So it sits a little bit lower. And then the jar behind it sits right, comes out right about here, halfway, a little bit more than halfway, and a little bit behind, maybe even further back here. So it's going to be something like that. But of course it is covered up by the coffee cup. And its top goes all the way basically to the corner here of that box. So I'm going to go all the way up. So it shares that height, kind of folds in a little bit, and then so I have that oval because I can see on the top and here. Now this is going to get covered up by the coffee cup. The coffee cup kind of fits right up here, kind of overlaps right here to right here. I'm going to go off the page a little bit. The orientation, the photograph I have is wider than my drawing paper, so that's going to cause me some changes that I have to adjust to. So I'm going to try to figure this out. Right now we know the oval doesn't quite make it to the back of the table. It sits like that. I'll have to work on those ovals. I'll have to work on the handle as well. I'm going to go off have that right there. Now I know the cheese container sits in the front, and you can see the opening more than anything else. And it kind of starts over here, kind of lines up a little bit with the base of the vase, and then over here kind of makes it over to the tube, and the midway is about at the base, close to the base here. So it's going to be somewhere around there, and it's going to come up and around. I'm going to have to move. There we go. I'm getting something that's good. And of course, it has height, an edge and height. So that it's easier for me to make curves with my arm this way. And then it also has the inside of the container that you can see. So it kind of extends, let's see here, this like that. Now I'm going to have to clean up a lot of my drawing. I'm going to first do a lot of erasing to kind of clean it up of the guidelines. I'm going to then redraw the parts that need to be rearranged. The guidelines and all the parts that you can't see. I'm going to try to erase all of those. And obviously here I'm going to have to redraw that line. I don't want to lose all my lines while I'm trying to erase other lines. Make sure I got so you do want to make sure your guidelines are fairly light. And of course I can do even more in terms of cleaning up my guidelines, but I'm going to start drawing and firming up some of these forms. Oops. So I'm going to adjust some of the lines here. This tube, I think, is going to end up becoming one of my more difficult parts to draw. I might have to come back to it, especially the opening of that tube. Reaffirming a lot of the drawing that I may have to redraw. Just because I've drawn it in darker doesn't mean it's perfectly correct. I may have to come back and make some changes, and I have to be ready to always make changes. Here. Try to get this done. I might need to extend off the page, which would be a shame, but let's see how that's looking. It's looking fair, maybe not great, but fair. My coffee cup. There's a thickness to that upper lip. I'm going to eventually get to it, but right now I'm just kind of again just so for now, let's see here. All right, and I do need to address this part. I am struggling with it. See, this comes out a little bit too much. You'll notice it gets smaller as it goes back in space, like the 2-point perspective. Is this kind of wavy line because it... Alright, so for now, this is a start. And this is a good start for me to keep drawing and keep drawing, adjusting everything to everything else, measuring the height with things against parts against other parts, fixing up my ovals, making sure that they're thinner at the top as they go down. They're more and more open. You almost full circles as you're looking down compared to just slivers at the top. So that's what we have right now. I want you to go ahead and do the same. Good luck.